The Granite State, a legacy of independence. To understand New Hampshire, to understand the bedrock of the American spirit, often overshadowed by its larger neighbors, the Granite State has spent over 2 centuries carving out an identity based on self-resilience, historical precedents, and a deep, almost spiritual connection into its rugged terrain. Its nickname is not merely a reference to the vast quarries of high-quality stone found within its borders. It is a description of the character of the people who settled there. Historically, New Hampshire has always been a leader in the pursuit of sovereignty. In January of 1776, it became the first colony to break away from the British rule and establish an independent government. This was not a decision made lightly, but was one born out of a fierce desire for local governance. This sentiment was later distilled into the most famous state motto into the country: "Live free or die." The phrase was part of a toast sent by General John Stark, the hero of the Battle of Bennington, who was too ill to attend a reunion of his fellow veterans. He wrote, "Live free or die. Death is not the worst of evils." To this day, the motto is not just a slogan on a license plate. It is a philosophy that influences the state's lack of broad-based sales or personal income taxes. The geography of the state is equally uncompromising. The White Mountain National Forest covers nearly a quarter of the state, dominated by the Presidential Range. At its heart sits Mount Washington, a peak that serves as a massive laboratory for extreme meteorology. Because it sits at the confluence of several major storm tracks, the summit experiences hurricane-force winds at an average more than 100 days a year. It is a place of such violence that the buildings at the summit must be chained to the ground to prevent them from being swept away. This proximity to the elements has fostered a culture of outdoor endurance. From the hikers of the Appalachian Trail to the legendary ski bums who braved the icy slopes of the Cannon Mountain in the early days of the American alpine skiing. Beyond the peaks, the state's interior is defined by its glacial history. Over 1,000 lakes are scattered across the landscape, the largest being Lake Winnipesaukee. Measuring roughly 21 miles long and 9 miles wide. It is a labyrinth of bays and channels. At the other end of the spectrum is the state's coastline. At just under 18 miles long, it is the shortest of any state bordering the ocean, yet it remains a vital economic and historical hub anchored by the colonial seaport of Portsmouth, a city that served a critical shipbuilding center during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. Politically, New Hampshire occupies a stage far larger than its population would suggest. In 1920, its first in the nation primary has allowed its citizens to act as the country's first mayor filter for presidential hopefuls. The state's unique town meeting style of government, which still exists in many municipalities, ensures that every citizen has a direct voice in their local budget and laws. It is perhaps the purest form of democracy still practiced in the modern world, requiring candidates and leaders to defend their ideas in person, often in the very gymnasiums and basements where their constituents, live and work. The state's contributions to the broader American narrative are often surprising. It was here in the town of Derry that the poet Robert Frost found an inspiration for his most famous works while working as a poultry farmer. It was in Concord that the first American alarm clock was patented, and in Manchester where the concept of the modern textile mill was perfected during the Industrial Revolution. Even the world of fast food owes a debt to New Hampshire. The very first chicken tender was served at a local restaurant in Manchester in the 1970s. New Hampshire is a state of contrast. It is a place where you can stand on a subarctic mountain peak in the morning and walk a sandy Atlantic beach in the afternoon. It is the place where values tradition, but protects the right to be different. It remains a bastion of the quiet, hardworking, and independent life, a testament to the idea that greatness is not measured by the size of a territory, but by the strength of its foundations.